Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Mindful LCA podcast. Today, we're going to talk about hip hop. Today, we're going to talk about the power of the word again. And for that, we have Evolving Wings, Ismael Lara. Welcome, bro. So
Peace,
just to
peace.
give you a little background. I'm a photographer for those that don't know still. I just took pictures of his family in the Bay Area. We had a conversation afterwards, and we just hit it off. Be like, oh yeah, like I'm a mental health advocate. Like I do music and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah. In another world, I was a hip hop artist myself in another lifetime. So then we just connected from there. So yeah, that's what we're gonna talk about today. But first of all, like always, our question: how are you doing today, Norma? And I mean, let me just give you, Ismail, I'll give you some time. When we say how are you, you can't say good. You have to give us something else other than good. That's the rule, okay? So
Got it.
I'll let Norma, I'll ask Norma first, and then
Yeah.
she'll ask me, and then we'll
Good or
get you.
fine does not work.
So how you doing today?
I'm stressed because I was late today, so I'm feeling stressed. So I need to come back to center. Yes. How are you?
I'm tired. Somehow I was supposed to get up again at 5 in the morning to go to the gym, and I shit you not, the alarm was on, and it just didn't go off. So I guess it gave me some ability to rest for a little bit, and I'm like, okay, I'll
Oh,
do something. I'll do something afterwards. But I guess my phone knew that what my body needed and said, no, not today. You're good. Just chill. And I'm still tired. So how about you, Ismail? How
good.
you doing?
First and foremost, peace, peace, many blessings. I always try to say that I'm doing great with the acknowledgement of what we're talking about. I was a little angsty, not stressed yet because I'm not trying to let my mind go there, but I was a little anxious because I had this first optional Zoom office hour meeting this morning at 8, and I had to take the kids to school. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And I wasn't able to get something situated for my son. So he's around here having a good old time, playing with his toys, watching a movie and stuff. And so when you have all these schedules in your mind, you're kind of trying to figure out how's it going to play out, how's it going to work out.
Yeah.
If I'm off by a little bit, it could cause a disruption in the schedule and whatnot. And then I got a dentist appointment later, and then we're planning my two boys, my youngest boys' birthday parties this weekend. We got family coming from outside the Bay, from LA, and to join us. And it's like checklist for my wife. Go do this, go do that, and I got to do my classes. But I'm great though. When I say I hear you what y'all saying, and this is important. I love it. I just try to tell my mind that, like the sister was saying, like you just gotta just like take a deep breath one time. One thing that I like to use with my children is like everything always works out for me, and
Hmm.
then we move forward.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, sounds good. Hey, the children are welcome. They're friends of the podcast. Just my daughters come around here and they show up while we're recording. Yesterday or the other day's episodes, like her son also came in and just made an entrance and shit. So it's kind of like becoming almost part of the culture that our kids show up and like
Hey,
make
I
an
like
appearance while we're recording.
Yeah. So if
that.
they come in, that's okay. We'll accept it.
Mm. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Ismael Lara? How do we end up here?
Most deaf. So my name is Ismael Rey Lara the Third Medrano. My family, I'm Mexican, and along with being Mexican, I think it's important to state for me that when I say I'm Mexican, I'm proud of my heritage and that being my indigenous ancestry, my indigenous roots. We have to ask ourselves specifically if you're Mexican and or Central American, how come not all, because we can't say all, but how come many, if not most of us, don't see ourselves as indigenous people?
Mm.
And
Hmm.
so for me, I'm born in the Mission District, San Francisco, California, 94110. And that's a big part of who I am. My parents are both Mexican from Tarimoro, Guanajuato, and from Michoacan, from Morelia, Michoacan. So I have that Purepecha bloodline. I also have that like Otomi
Yeah.
bloodline. Have a lot of family in DF. Shout out to Chila Town and my one of my long friends for a long time now. The one and only Boca Flor from DF. And so as a kid, like traveling from the city, from the Bay to Mexico, it just reinforced my identity. And I would say that my parents showing me and teaching me and my siblings, my two sisters, like how to I always say this to folks. It's like it's hard for people to love their people if they don't love themselves. And my parents taught us to how to love ourselves, you know. And it's not to say that they were perfect or anything like that, but I think that they did a really good job about that aspect. And so, one more time, what was the question though? How we met or how it
No,
No,
that's
it's just how you
no,
are,
just
just I
just
mean, who you
introducing
are,
yourself. Yeah.
and just perfect. I love that part of tapping into this ancestry, like honoring our ancestors, our indigenous roots. So I dig that a lot. Thank you for that.
Good. So that's Ismael. Now tell us how evolving wings came around and how was that?
Mm.
How did that happen?
Yeah, and so um I'm into this card game. It's called Magic the Gathering, and it has a pretty big global following. And just
Mm,
to like really conceptualize it, I have dyslexia, and so I was playing it one day, and there was a certain card. I won't bore you with all the details, but the point is, I misread it. I thought the card said "Evolving Wings," and I'm figuring out my pen game. I'm figuring out my stage name at the moment. I'm doing a lot of writing. I've been writing since '09. This is like in 2015. I think it was before my first son was born, so 2015. And I thought I said evolving wings, and I was like, oh my God, how come I didn't think of that? Like, because to me, that conceptualized my life. I'm not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes. I've consciously, subconsciously, actively, and actively hurt emotionally a lot of people. And so to me, it was like that's a redemption path in that one phrase, like evolving wings. Like that's like we all have wings, and no matter what we add, what we've been through, that we can still bloom beauty and brilliance in spite of, any ugliness that you want to like insert. I go back a week later and playing the game again, and then I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't say evolving wings, that says evolving wilds. And so I was like, that's it. De aquí soy yo. This is me. I'm gonna be
mhm,
evolving wings from this day forward. And that's the origin story of how I came up with that name. But
mhm,
then the symbolism, the metaphors, um, what it means to me to have wings, and what it means to me as being a race scholar, and how our kids specifically, and our however we want to identify it, Latino, Afro Latino, you know what I'm saying, Chicano communities, right? How K through 12 into institutions in society, they're told that they're worthless. They don't have no knowledge. They don't have no wisdom, right? And so for me, it's kind of a reminder that we all have these wings. We all have love and light, but
mm,
society often breaks us down. We hear no like 10,000 times by the time we're in third grade, that we are categorized to these self-fulfilling, self-destructive prophecies. And
Mhm.
so for me, in addition to that, it's kind of like if I don't like the music I'm listening to, then I'm gonna make my own music.
mm,
Music that people could listen to with their kids. And it's not to say that I don't drop a F bomb here or there, because I do every once in a while, but it's not to the same rate to what I would consider the majority of rap and or hip hop may have those curse words. I think if I use this for an emphasis, an exclamation, but I would say that most of my music is like 80% free of cursing.
mm. Cool. So how did hip hop become also a thing, an important thing in your life? How
Oh,
did you get to the finding this outlet or deciding like I'm gonna express myself, or how did it become a part of you?
that's a great question. So, um, in my Mexican household on Saturday mornings, you know what I'm saying, on the weekends, it was like you get the protein in, and then it's like you play the music. We're listening to. I'm from Guanajuato, so I'm biased.
Yeah.
Jose Fel Jimenez, the greatest
Jose
to me.
Alfredo Jimenez, yeah.
You know? And so we're listening to rancheras, Jose Fel Jimenez. We're listening to corridos, a lot of Chalino Sanchez, a lot of Tigres del Norte.
Mhm.
We're listening. My dad was born in Frisco, right? But at like 5 or 6, they took him to Tarimoro, so he grew up over there. He came back later on. My point is, he had an understanding of hip hop, You know, he was like, he's an original member of the Lords of Frisco Lowrider Club, 77 Monte Carlo, wrote a whole song about it. And so he had an affinity to it. So in
Mm.
our house, we would listen to hip hop, we would listen to Cypress Hill, Run DMC, you know, Public Enemy, Salt and Pepper, Heavy D, Tone Loc, those kind of artists, along with the rancheras, along with the corridos, and along with the banda. And so I've oldies. We're big on oldies too.
Mm.
Oldies, you know what I'm saying? And so as I'm growing up, reflecting back, I realized, wait a minute, I've had this anxiety issues my whole life. And so um, for me, I always knew I was a poet. Always. I was always scribbling on something. I was always have a journal, pen and pad, write down my emotions. Could never, you know, at first couldn't get it to rhyme, but you know, there was a flair there. And so that's how music and my upbringing and my childhood has fused my emotional stability and emotional intelligence.
Mm.
Mm.
Okay, got you.
So
I
then,
always like to. Oh, go ahead, Norma. Go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead. Make
I
your
was gonna
comment.
say I I always I'm very interested in trying to pinpoint, but I know that there's not a specific point because we talked about your mental health and you talked about um, allowing yourself to write about and talk about your emotions through in the writing that you did. Where do you think you when did that make sense to you? Because I see myself as and I like to ask people all the time because I think my goal is to awaken people to what all three of us know. Like that's how I like to see it. How would I get you to start the path, to start helping you out, to start noticing your emotions, start dealing with that stuff? Was there a moment that was impactful to you that changed your life? Was it just accumulation of your parents and just how your parents were, like you mentioned? So where do you think this all kind of kick started that led you to the path of you becoming who you are to now a mental health advocate, hip hop artist, and getting all that word? Where did that start making sense, or what did that click for you, or what happened that made you go into this path?
It's definitely a accumulation in the
Mhm.
sense of how I became a scholar. You're talking to someone that doesn't even have a high school diploma.
Mm.
That's a whole other story. You're talking to someone that never saw themselves in college. You, I mean, in hip hop, right? You don't see too many like Latinas and Latinos, Mexican folk in there. And so it's a trajectory of pinpoints. But to answer your question and go backwards, because this is how it happened for reals, is that I had my first mental health just complete breakdown
Mhm.
during the pandemic, to the point where like y'all might know, and hopefully you don't. And for the listeners as well, it's like I'm talking about like I can't breathe, cold, can't stop shaking, go to the ER. They're like, you got nothing wrong with you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I got everything wrong with me right now. You know, so that makes me think about hospitals in a different way as well. You know, got a broken
Yeah,
leg or something like that. That's the place to go. I need to go somewhere else. And
yeah,
so I remember coming back from the hospital, not able to shake. It was like the worst feeling in my life to where I thought I was gonna die. And I really did not know how to stop. I had lost control of my mind already. It had consumed me. I didn't know how to control my thoughts, rapid thoughts. I didn't I didn't even know how I was gonna sleep or go that night. I just prayed and listened to very specific music that was helping somewhat. And when I woke up the next day, I just remember thanking Creator for allowing me to just get some rest. And the next 3 months were like hell and back, and the point where like I have to tap my foot like every second. I have to remind myself like in my brain, like just breathe. That level for days,
Mm.
right? Complete like just shut down in every which way.
mm,
And doing things very repetitive. Like if it's listening to a song, I have to listen to a very specific part of the song because it makes me feel good. And so eventually the doctors are like, uh, group, you have depression, anxiety, and IBS. And so I'm like, wow. And they're like, you have your second brain is in your stomach. So if I'm going through a mental health crisis, right, and then I have IBS, which means I'm eating food that's not making me feel good, then it's just gonna bounce off each other. And it was
Mhm.
the worst combination ever. And so that's when everything started to like I reflect. I'm able to pinpoint, oh yeah, that mental health thing as a kid, that trauma, that these images are coming back to me. And some things are just too horrific for a podcast or for even a movie or a book. So I keep it to myself. But I've embedded those clues in my music because I
Mhm.
think it's important to talk about it. And
Mhm.
and so I'm thinking back and I'm like, wait a minute, damn, my pops probably had like this depression. Damn, he probably had anxiety too. Because I know that he went through some trauma when he was a kid too. And I'm like, oh wow. And then I don't want to put nobody on blast, but then I'm starting to talk to certain people in my family. They're like, yeah, I've been going through it too.
Mhm.
I've had anxiety issues. I'm like, what? How come I didn't like
Nobody talked about this.
nobody talked about this? Hey, can we cuss up in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Like nobody ever talked about this shit. How and so that's when like these ideas start developing for the album specifically. Like, I need to step up. Enough people, people in my neighborhood, people in my community, people in every facet of my life respect me. And
Mm.
so if it's difficult to talk about these things, so if I'm the first one to step up, it might allow other people to step up. And
Yes.
we had a big, like 100 something people over capacity at one of the colleges where I work at, College of Marin. We had a mental health workshop, summit, presentation, and next thing you know, all these young folk, a lot of them are Latino, like, yeah, I've been going through that too. Yeah,
Mm.
me too. And I was like, this was the point. I
Mhm.
know I'm a
Mm.
little off track right now, but
It's okay.
No,
I
no,
had
not at all.
I ended up on Lexapro.
Mm.
They're telling me like, you just need group therapy. I'm like, no, I give me one on one. I need one on one. I need to talk to someone. I'm going through
Yes.
some shit. I need to talk
Yes.
to someone. And they're like, the best we could do right now is this group therapy. And I'm like, damn, what you want to do Lexapro? I'm like, not really, but I can't stop feeling this way. I do Lexapro for a couple of months. It's around November at this point, and I'm not feeling like myself. And during this whole couple of months I'm on it, I'm with my cousin, the one and only Mr. Frisco Slums, and the homies on bicycles. I like it. It makes me feel good.
Mm.
But we're doing like 15 to 30 miles, and it's no longer leisure. It's like catch up. And that stressed me. And I remember being parts like we start at Chase Center, end up at the Golden Gate, Vista Point, and then a thought comes into my mind. You're a long way from home. Oh my God. That's when the waves come. That's when it feels like the world's gonna crash on you, right? You can't breathe, your muscles are starting to tighten. You don't even understand how many times like my body just completely shut down. Like if you ever had a leg cramp at night, imagine your whole body like that. Like that. Like that's what I was going through. That's what I was dealing with. Trying to figure out what food is gonna be harmful to my body and probably and make me go to the ER. So since like 2020, 21, something like that, no more carne asada, no more tacos. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, no red meat, no pork. Um, certain oils, I have to be very clean with the oils. Very kind of like keep it like really gluten free. Sometimes I take chances here and there. You know what I'm saying? But like for the most part, it has to be a very strict diet, like oatmeal and like greens and vegetables and jugo verdes and things of that nature. I can
Till
still
this
eat
day.
to this day.
So you're still
It's-
dealing with IBS.
yes.
Okay, that's interesting. We can
Yeah.
talk
So
about
if y'all know some indigenous remedies, let your boy know because I would like to eat I've learned how to deal without eating red meat. Like I don't crave it no more, but it'd be nice every once in a while. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. um, I'm letting you go because just so you know, you minus the IBS, you describe my experience. Like we and me and you had the exact same experience, and I've
Mhm.
talked about my experience plenty of times here, but it's just to let people know how common it is that like the guy you guys that have listened know that he literally described what I've talked about in the past.
Yeah.
Same thing. Had a panic attack and then just the whole fucking world flips upside down, and I was also not able to function. Still got the thing of like, you want medicine? They're like, no, fuck you, I want to go to therapy. And then my appointment lasted like I think 6 weeks or 2 months to get my first thing, my first appointment. So that was a pain in the ass. But yeah, it was the exact same thing, bro. The same thing that you were saying. It's just everything. So
Let
it's
me know if you
cool.
did this. They tell you don't do the following once you're on Lexapro, right? Antidepressants.
Uh huh.
Don't go cold turkey. We gotta, if you want to get off, we gotta like,
You
start
gotta
bringing
Yeah.
taper
down.
down. You gotta
What did I do?
you gotta titrate.
I was right here, and I was trying to write a song about what I'm going through, and I was like, I don't feel like me. Fuck it. Throw that shit away. Oh my god. The next 2 weeks were like a roller coaster of like ups and downs. And people that I've talked to in private on one-on-ones, they're like, how'd you do that? Because like I said, now I know a lot of people that are on still Lexapro and antidepressants, and they're like, I don't see myself not doing it because this is hard. This is tough.
Mhm.
And I ain't brave. That's not why I'm bringing it up. I'm bringing it up for me because it's like I just didn't really feel like myself. Like
Mhm.
I felt like I had lost who I was. And um, shout out to my tia Sandrina. She's a curadera in
Mhm.
SoCal. Someone that I go visit quite often, and talks with her, being my spiritual guide, have really helped me on this trajectory and this path. And that's why I wanted to redefine on my album the word warrior, because warrior to me is having the courage to say I need help.
Mhm.
I need help. I need to talk to someone because if I don't get help, then I'm gonna continue to subconsciously or consciously wound people in my community and or the people I love the most. And I ain't
Yes.
perfect. I'm learning how to evolve, how to grow, um, and I really don't feel obligated to stay in my past versions. So miss me with that sucker shit. You know what I'm saying? Like anyone that wants me to keep me, you can keep me accountable. But what I'm saying is, you can't prevent me from growing and becoming a better person.
Yes.
No one has that right to do that to me or to anybody else. And
Mhm.
so I really believe in evolving the wings, growing. In spite of all the ugliness we endure and or have caused. I think everyone deserves that.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's a journey for sure. So, were you able then to get into group therapy and eventually get one on one?
I did the group therapy. In my opinion, from my experience, it was whack. I didn't like it. It actually made me feel more anxious. It made me feel like this is not what I need.
Mhm.
And one of the distinctions is that sometimes in our community, we're like, mental health, talking therapy, you know, that's for people with money and or white folk, right? But
Mhm.
in reality, I think what they're saying is, I don't like that clinical approach, that Western ideology, that Western clinical approach, because in reality, ain't nothing more indigenous than long practicas. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Long
Yeah.
talks. And so I think that for me, going back to my roots and researching and also being put up on game on mental health advocates that do it from an indigenous perspective has helped me tremendously to
Yes.
realize that there's nothing wrong with this. Maybe we don't like the way it's being the methods, but maybe if we allow ourselves to just, what's more like Mexican than long talks at night, in cafecito, like that's a part of our culture. That's a part of our history. And so as far as have I got direct one-on-ones, no, but I would say that having long talks uh with people that I trust have helped me greatly.
Mm.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah, like I think it's very important that you do touch on that, right? Because Here we and like Steve and I are a very very big advocates of mental health, and we're like, go to therapy, go to therapy, go to therapy. I'm a therapist myself, and I do come from that Western lens, right? Because that's what I've been indoctrinated with. So this part of you saying like, yeah, everybody talks about going to therapy, but the approach doesn't work for me, right? So then okay, I being honest with ourselves of like, yeah, I don't like that approach, right? Like the other day I was talking to a client, and she tells me she's talking about ancestry and just like getting messages, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, like let's talk about that. Let's tap into your ancestral power. And then she's like, see, that's what I fuck with you, because you're not like other therapists. Like I've had other white therapists, and if I were to tell them, they'll probably like, bitch, you probably need to be like in a cuckoo house, right? But being able to talk about like spiritual journey, ancestry, all of that, without the shame, without the judgment, without the pathologizing, is so so important. So I'm so glad that even if you haven't gone the Western route, that you're still a big advocate for mental health, that you have found your way of tapping into whatever it is that's going on. You're saying like, yeah, I'm going to my tia, she's a curandera. I'm like, yeah, like fucking do that, like whatever it is. And that is exactly essentially the message that we want to put out there. Whatever method you want to use, whether it's Western or ancestral, it doesn't matter, but tap into the mental health.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for me, it's judgment. I'm terrified of judgment, to keep it real with you, to be absolutely 100% vulnerable. Like, that's what I'm scared about. It's the judgment, it's the conflict, the confrontation at times. And I think that's triggered by trauma that I've endured as a child,
Mhm.
and why sometimes it becomes very difficult to tell the truth, and or to be truthful with oneself. And those are two distinctions there, right? And I'm still learning how to be better every day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I like it. As I think something that like you said, that it's, I think it's been fairly new in understanding that part, because I do push therapy a lot, but now I'm becoming more conscious of it and just be like, because I think myself, I have learned so much outside of therapy within myself. I think what it did to me is like it kicked it off. And like I went for, I believe it was like a year and a half, once a month. And I did do group therapy for about 6 months on the weekly basis. But after that, like I remember asking my therapist, like, hey, put me on game on some fucking books or some podcasts, some shit that I can read and learn and all that. And it's through the same thing that you're talking about, through conversations. Like our conversations with Norma in the podcast and outside of the podcast, we get into the nitty fucking gritty of shit, like regularly fucking crying, regularly figuring shit out. And she's my friend, and the same thing with my wife. Like the drive that we make to the Bay Area, we unlock and we bring up so much shit about ourselves, about the relationship, about our family, about society on the way there, because we literally discuss it on the whole way there and back. And that in itself is healing. Like
Yeah.
she's not a therapist, and I'm not a fucking therapist, or we're not going to that. So there is different ways to go about it, and the beauty in when I'm paying attention to it is how everybody can be unique in their path, but we're walking towards the same place.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
all these different roads can lead us to the same thing. Because that's what I think I'm starting to pay attention. Because honestly, we had more guests now recently than before, and all the guests have their own path, but they getting to the same place. But
Mhm.
then something makes sense, like music, hip hop, Bob and Wings made sense to you, and you carry that, and it takes you in the same fucking direction that for somebody else it could be. Like for me, it used to be, and it's kind of not as much anymore. Used to be like science, that was like my shit. But I'm learning more things, evolving, like you said. But that also has got me in the path, and other people take their own path that get them to the same like the same place of healing, the same place of liberation and freedom all the way through. So that's beautiful that, like, you can go about it a million different ways and like take that path. And as long as you're happy and you're growing and it's leading you to peace, then like by all means walk your
That,
own path and whatever makes sense.
That's it. Whoo, that's a tagline right there. Walk your own path. Your own path. And you know what? as you were talking, I was thinking about how I wrote a song called "I Am Grateful" to conceptualize what you just articulated, in the sense of, like, for me, I had to go this route. I had to go through this pain. I had to go through this hurt. I had to go through what I may have considered, why me. I had
Mhm.
to go through it in order to become the person I am today, if I chose to, right? Because we could still choose not to be that, you know. But instead, for me, I chose, I'm gonna take these lessons and I'm gonna share them with people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And some lessons may be too deep, like I said, right? But the clues are there. And I think that for me, practicing gratitude every day, just being grateful, has
Mhm.
helped me deal with my fears. You
Mhm.
know, even as an artist, my brother Boca Floja, one of the dopest MCs on this planet, living international legend from Mexico City, invited me to do a show in the F in November. We're talking about jam packed, sold out, 500 people there. I ain't never performed in front of no 500 people. You know, like, I'm a professor. That's what I do, like, for the majority of my day. Even though I'm an adjunct, like, I probably work more than full timers. Is what I'm trying to illustrate, though.
Mhm.
But the stress is just more as a part timer. But my point is, that's what I focus on because that's what pays the rent. Like, my dream though is music, and so
Mm.
I don't necessarily have all the time in the world to practice my craft the way as I should, you know. And so I've had great, like, small performances, and I've had very horrific ones because of the anxiety, the depression, the fear of judgment, the fear of public opinion. So, long ass story to say, I've been Eminem on 8 Mile, like, stuck, forgot my words, you know. And then I've had really good
Mhm.
ones. All this is coming up. One of the homies goes up first, right? Peace. And shout out to CG Rodden. He's killing it. And I'm like, oh man, he's killing it. I gotta go next. I was gonna be second. 500 people. I'm a rap in English, and I'm gonna sprinkle some Spanish in there. But for the most part, my hip hop is in English. And so I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, okay. I'm looking at Boca. He's emceeing. Looking at the homie Rocket. My hands are starting to sweat. I'm starting to get a little jittery. And they're like, up next, you know, first and foremost, I want to say thank you to my brother Boca Flow because he gave me the dopest introduction ever. And he basically said he's one of us. He's coming from the Chicano experience. And we're all about building bridges, stolen lines, stolen land. Please give him a warm shout out, Evolving Wings. That helped. And so what also helped is that I picked two beats that are Wu-Tang beats. I picked Cream, and then I did some verses to Ice Cream, and then I
Mhm.
went to an original song and a poem, a spoken word piece, and I just completely, like, I remember when Matias Sanino says, just say I'm grateful, just say thank you, Creator. Blanked out in a good way. The spirit took over.
Mm.
I don't know why I'm hopping everywhere like I'm 20 years old and out of breath, killing it. And it was the greatest, like, living experience for me ever because it felt like, whew,
Mm.
like it felt like a new me, like I shed skin. This is the year of the snake, right? It felt like I just shed this old weight on me. Like the weight of the world was just gone now. Like I was like on cloud nine, man. It was like, man, forget the weed, it was like, I can't explain it. I
On
just
that
can't explain
spiritual
it.
high.
That spiritual high of, like, this is my destiny. I had the courage to be up there, and I had the fortitude to prepare, like rehearse and practice a lot, right? And when preparation means opportunity, with love and light in your heart, the people accepted me, man. I had people coming up after I got on stage, like, yo, man, what do you say? Te la rifaste, manito. And, like, it was just so dope to by a lot of the people, you know what I'm saying? I was up there throwing shirts and left and right, and I can't explain it, but that point is recent. But that's when I was like, oh yeah, I'm an MC. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I could rock the crowd, 500 people that don't even really like, they understand, but they might not really like fully comprehend the English language and the bars I'm spitting. But it's about the vibe. You know, it's totally about the vibe. And I mean, like I said, I started writing in '09 before I went to undergrad as a 27-year-old in UC Merced. When I was recording by myself, not knowing what to do or how, I didn't even know you were supposed to mix a song or master a song. I didn't know nothing about that, you know. And even now, as I have my own like small business, Evolving Wings Records, Inc. is still learning, is still growing because I don't have folks in my immediate network that are CPAs, accountants, and things of those nature. And so, oh, I'm really sorry about that.
No worries.
I would say that moment changed my trajectory because before I left, my oldest said he had a big tournament. He said, "Papa, how do I do tough things?" I was like, "Damn."
That's a good question.
You
How
know,
old
my
is he?
he's 9 now, but he was 8.
That's
He
a
plays.
very good question.
It is. He plays club soccer, like professional for kids. And
Mm.
so he was like, "How do I do tough things?" I was like, "Where's this coming from?" He was like, "We got that big tournament. I don't know if I'm really good enough or if I could do this." I was like, "Look, I knew I didn't know the answer, but I was like, look, I noticed that you play better when you're happy, when you're
Mm.
smiling, when you have joy in your heart, when you're just free. Play with love, play with light, work hard, but also work with love, and that'll help." And I'm not always the greatest about utilizing my own advice. And so before I got on stage, I was like, and Boca had told me this, and my sister had texted me, my wife. I ain't. I'm gonna tell you right now, I ain't nothing without my wife. It's straight up. Like she's like, I know a lot of people talk about guardian angels, but I feel like she's like my angel. You know what I'm saying? Or like
Mm.
make sure I'm on the right path because I know anybody else just wouldn't have stuck around. I think that, and I believe that she loves me so much that she's allowing me to evolve into the best version that I could be. And so when
Ooh,
she
got
when
chills.
when she's texting me, you got this, you're great, you could do this. And I remember my son, I'm like, okay, let's just go have fun.
Mhm.
And that was it, you know what I'm saying? And he ended up winning that tournament. He scored a penalty in overtime in the championship to help them win.
Nice.
Awesome.
And
Mm.
it's them. It's my wife, it's my 3 sons. Them doing all the things I probably would have been scared of because as a kid, I had a lot of trauma, a lot of insecurity, low self-esteem. Seeing them accomplish things that I wish I had the courage to do gives me the courage. I'm 42 right now. At 42, to fight for my dreams.
Hmm.
Wow.
Straight
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. That was the same thing. Like when I had my daughter in jujitsu, like I noticed, I was like, and I told her like, bro, you already do. I would never fucking have done this even now. Just the fact that you're already doing it, like you're already surpassing what me and your mommy were at that age to put yourself through that and to get your ass whooped and to cry and to continue to do it and to show up and learn and all that. Like you're already like doing more than me and your mom can do. So yeah. Um I don't know if I should do it during the recording or afterwards, but do you know about lyrical opposition?
Uh-uh.
Okay, go follow them. Stop talking, go follow them on your phone. They're from the Bay Area. They've been my friends for a while. It's a hip hop like group. Uh like they have recording help, they have producers, one of them is actually starting to make documentaries. He just made one that's apparently pretty popular. But that's their name. Also, like I'll help you with well, maybe connect you with some other people because they're the same, you know. They're following again the same path. They do it with the message, they do it with that. So maybe you can connect with them, and then they'll put you to be a network with each other, you know, because they also been through it. Actually, one of them was a guest beyond the old podcast that I have, and he's just a really good dude, very conscious, want to do the right thing, mental health advocate through hip hop and all that stuff. So meeting those dudes, I think it'll help you kind of network. Because I'm just listening to you, and I'm like, you're just like them, you're just like me. Like connect with them, and I'm pretty sure it'll help you out, you know. Um, but yeah, I want to I want to give you the opportunity to maybe go specifically into more of the songs and like what is the message that you put in a song. Um, because I just saw a video that made so much sense that a lot of people just dismiss hip hop because it's fast and it's like loud and it's like, you know, a lot of stuff going on, and it's hard for them that eventually somebody like, and actually it's maybe what happened to me at an early age. It was like, no, but like when I took the time to listen to it, like this has a strong message, like this is an amazing message, this is that, and it requires you to put in the work. And before you got here, Norma, I was telling her that I gave you a Kendrick 101 for like a fucking hour in a row to be like, this is why this is happening. So just to give you an opportunity to maybe pick the songs, one of the songs that, or a few of the songs that stood up to you, and then tell us like what's the message in there? Why did you decide to focus on this song? You know?
Can I
Yo,
ask a question before that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, just I guess it will be like a good segue, but because you were talking about how you started with music in '09, and then the mental breakdown happened during the pandemic. So I want to know a little bit of how your music has evolved pre mental breakdown, like what that journey has been, like what were some of like maybe like the messages or overall theme of those, and post mental breakdown, and then maybe
absolutely.
we can get into specific songs.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I'm gonna tie it all up as best as I can.
Mhm.
Being a young Chicano from the mission, like I don't
Mhm.
have brothers, and so my older cousins, my cousins my age, are my brothers, and so they listen to hip hop all day, every day. And one of the groups that has always influenced me to keep it. My favorite rapper off top is Pac right here, right now. Cypress Hill though, because they look like me, you know what I'm saying? Like they were just out of this world for me. It was like if they could do that, I could do that. And I remember writing down their lyrics and singing the words for the whole song. And I would say that by the time we go to '09, you know, and this is a great question because I feel like if I would have had the buzz that I'm generating right now, I would have been saying some whack ass shit I don't agree with today. As
Mm.
far as like the messages, you know, the messages in the early stages, like even before recording, or maybe more consumer based because that's what the mainstream was saying was cool.
Mhm.
But very
Mhm.
quickly after that, though, like I'm talking like '09, '10, like within the same like beginning,
Mm.
because my earliest recordings that I cringe at from '09, like the very earliest that I've ever recorded by myself, are all like very revolutionary, very much about like understanding the concept of enslavement and
Mhm.
or what that means as far as like our mental space as well. Like we don't have to be in shackles physically, overtly to be covertly internalizing racism and or racist policies that that I'm saying would the symbolism is that we shackle ourselves and surveil ourselves
Mhm.
for white supremacy. And so from the very beginning, it was like very raw, very angry, very like public enemy, you know, like that type of thing, focusing more on like the Latino community. So
Mhm.
the earliest messages, like when I was in UC Merced, I was known as like stay away from him. You know, he he too radical, right? He don't hang out with that guy.
Mm.
So that's the split where like the earliest recordings have always been about gente and how do we overcome liberation. But in the very beginning, there was mimicking the mainstream.
Mm.
I never
Okay.
recorded anything like that per se, but I did have those ideas in the very beginning. Um, Being an undergrad, just it was hard to. I was recording with a lot of people, and then you realize, just because you brown or you from the hardest hood in the world doesn't mean you're really for your people. And I had to learn
Oof.
the hard way, um, like sometimes it's more about the consciousness versus the phenotype. And just because you have a Spanish last name, or like I said, you're from the hardest hood on planet Earth, right? It doesn't mean you really love your people.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
had to learn that the hard way. And my pops passed away from terminal cancer in 2018, January 13th. He was 59.
Oh my God, I was young.
And that's what like really snapped me out of fear,
Mm.
because he passes away. Shortly after that, doctors called me up. Hey, we noticed certain blood in your urine for some tests I had to do or whatever. It might be cancer. On the phone, they're telling me it might be cancer, but we don't know yet. But don't worry about it. Come in, we'll do something else. And I'm like, they just said don't worry. He just said cancer. Like in my mind, I was like,
This
hold up,
motherfucker.
my kids don't even have a grandfather no more, right? I didn't know my grandpa like that because he lived in Mexico. My kids now might have a dad or a grandfather.
Mm.
That shit fucked me up, and that was
Mm-hmm.
around
Mm-hmm.
the first time where I met Sandrina, a shaman, a curandera in SoCal, and she was like, "You're good. You don't have cancer. Get back to the Bay. We do the exams a week or later or whatever. They call me like, yes, false alarm. Don't worry, no cancer." And I was like, you motherfuckers, man. I was
Yeah.
really stressing until I went to go see Sandrina and SoCal. I was stressed,
Yeah, of
stressed.
course.
And then from that moment, I was like, you know what? Fuck fear.
Mm.
Like, I don't want to live with the regret of being 80 on my deathbed. Why not take a chance and bet on myself with this rap thing? That very moment, I was like, you know what? Let's do it. My first EP is called Walking Stars, and it's completely dedicated to my pops.
Mm.
Walking Stars is a metaphor in the sense of like, when as a kid I think of a star with 5 points, right? You
Mm-hmm.
get, for the most part, right, head, 2 hands, 2 feet. You know what I'm saying? We are all from stardust, and thus are walking stars, and that we all pass away to become ancestors, and that's okay, because from the sky, the heavens, we become stars, and therefore we rise up above to illuminate the path for those that we love here on earth.
Mm.
So the title song "Walking Stars" is completely about my dad and how I felt like during and after his passing and transition. I would say that one of my main anthem song from that EP is called "Padelante." We have a music video out. It has over 100,000 views on it.
Mm.
Shout out to Jordan, you know what I'm saying, for being a director on that, coming down from Temecula. And that song I wrote for us. I wrote it as like, I'm a mix in our indigeneity. I'm a mix in
Mm.
how I feel as a Chicano today. And so it has a lot of those elements. It's a very like, I love the movie Onward as well, so it has those elements as well. I'm very influenced by all kinds of different elements, and I mix them into my music. I would say "Padelante" is probably overall my main like anthem song, from the beat to the chorus to every which way in the lyrics. I remember some homies sending me messages on Instagram talking about, "Hey, I'm glad you put Purepecha in the mix, because we're not all Aztecs." And I was like, "Oh, I know." you know. And so just trying to figure out how to put all these different elements, and also, you know, I'm not saying all Mexican folk have African heritage, but many of us do, and maybe
Mhm.
it's not visible. So how do we make space for those folks as well?
Mhm.
And I think that's important. And to fast forward 2 years ago, I dropped my first LP, which is a long play, full album. I titled it Soul Purpose, because during the mental health breakdown, my wife Jackie was just instrumental for me to recover and be the best version of myself. And I wanted to read The Alchemist for the first time, and I couldn't read. I was still kind of jittery. She would literally like read to me, you know. And that
We love
book,
you, Jackie. Shout out to Jackie. We love Jackie.
for reals, 100. That book helped me with the trajectory of like, this is my purpose in life, is through music, share these experiences, be an advocate for mental health, you know, be an advocate to do the best that I can to end racism, sexism, patriarchy, and things of that nature. And so, in addition to that, for my very first time, I was on a magical mushroom journey. And that was, for me, it was really scary and really healing at the same time.
Yes,
And
yes.
one of the messages that I feel like Creator told me, higher being, was I love you and there is only oneness. And so in my song What Matters Most, uh, conceptually it's about this idea of that there is only oneness, and that's what matters most, is how we treat each other as human beings. It ain't the money, it ain't the wealth, it ain't the capital. It's how we treat each other with dignity, and
Mm.
regardless of those things. And there's a lot more things that I remember from that day, but that's what gave me the plan. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna call this Soul Purpose, and I'm gonna put my three sons on the main cover. I ain't even gonna be in the main cover. And we took a lot of pictures on the steps of an intergenerational house that my uncle owns in the city. And for me, it was symbolic because I grew up on those steps, playing with my cousins, and there's something about the city life, man, being in the mission. You know what I'm saying? And on Friday nights, being out there with the boombox, you know what I'm saying, and just kicking it with the older cousins, the primas and the primos, and hip hop has always been a part of my life. Seeing the dope cars pass by in the neighborhood. There's something about like that cheers element where you like in the neighborhood, you could walk outside, you're like, hey, what's up? Hey, somebody gets off the 27, yo, what's up? I gotta go to work, yo, what's up? You know, there's something about that. So we put them on the steps to kind of symbolize like this is an intergenerational home and space, and sole purpose. One of the songs, this is from my EP. This is my main song off the EP called Pa Delante. We have the JTA who played and won a championship from East Oakland with the Warriors. Juan Toscano Anderson, a big fan of his. Shout out to SSK and all the homies on the bikes. And for me, it was really a good form of therapy. I'm grateful they allowed me to participate and to see the growth in folk, and the common goal there being like mental health, and you know, just talking. This is the that was the cover to my album Soul Purpose with my three sons, Ismael the fourth, Huitzilin. They all have now names. My second boy is Emiliano, top left. He's Emiliano Cuauhtemoc.
Mm.
And then on the top right, we have Santiago Tonali. And all those
Mm.
nowadays have very specific messages. Uh, you know, shout out to a very, very special somebody that still doesn't want me to give them credit, but they're the ones that created those indigenous one of one letters for me. Nobody else has those. Those were created just for me. And so
Mm.
we're thinking about how do we create a new, you know, letter format that resonates to what I'm doing in my indigeneity. The whole album is, it starts off, the album starts off pretty dark. It starts off with like, you know, I need help. Literally, I say I need help. I need to talk to someone. This is what I'm going through. I miss and love my dad, you know, and then the first song kicks in, "What Matters Most."
Mm.
Um, the whole album is conceptually about my mental health breakdown and sharing specific fragments of it, because I think some things are just too overwhelming, like I said earlier. But if I could make it palatable to people and still make it dope, because the beats are dope. Shout out to the one and only The Kid Rated R, one of Frisco's finest rappers and producers, my brother The Kid Rated R. You know what I'm saying? Like, uh, that was another element to where, like, he's a genius. I seen this man make beats in front of me from scratch. And I'm like, his beats are so dope. Even if they don't like what I'm saying initially, they're gonna listen because the beats are fire. And so when you
Mm.
have dope production and he's quarterbacking, he's coaching, he was like, what if you put this word up here? He's like really a real producer. I had never had that. When I did the first EP, shout out to Eric Glosser, who's dope too. I think there's something about when someone's of the community though, right? And they could really like hear what you're trying to say, and keep it authentic to that, to the culture. There's a distinction there. And so with the
Yeah.
kid, he had his own studio. There was no pressure to like, I have to make this 2 hours, 3 hour block work, right? He was hella cool. He was like, I'm gonna work with you. I fuck with you because what you're saying is dope. And so I think we were on the same trajectory on that aspect. And so he allowed me to like really be involved in ways that we know today lyrically as well. You know, he's a very humble, he's a dude's a genius, brother's a genius. And so I think that if I didn't have the right production, that album wouldn't hit as hard as it does.
Mm.
And so, and shout out to the homie Victor as well too, who directed a lot of my last videos. He directed we did a Dia de los Muertos theme song called Passion and Purpose. The concept conceptually is about when we represent for our ancestors, they never die, right? They're in our
Mhm.
minds, hearts, and in our actions. And once again, like my whole music trajectory is really because I love my dad, you know, and because he wasn't perfect, and I understand that. Nevertheless, his smile was perfect. And once again, that reinforces evolving wings. Like we don't have to be perfect. We have to be accountable and grow and do better, in spite of being put in situations where it's very tough to be, you know, better. And
Mhm.
so for me, I really live my life free of judging people. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. You know, I keep my guard up, but I don't go around judging people like that because I know what that feels like, and I don't like that.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so I would say if I had to say only listen to one song off the new album, there's too many, because my favorite is probably I Am Grateful. It's slower. It's, you know, reflective, but I think that the lyrics in that song are very powerful for what we're talking about today.
Are you on Spotify?
On everything: Spotify,
Mm.
Apple, Tidal, SoundCloud, Deezer, equally, all of them. They're everywhere.
Evolving Wings. Okay.
We have a
I
music video, 30K views on that one, featuring the one and only Boca Floja as well. Yeah, we have over 2,000
Yeah, you
subscribers
can
on the
find it
Evolving
there.
Wings.
My internet is acting up a little bit, but evolving
Yeah.
wings, you can find it there.
We have some
Okay.
podcast episodes as
You can
well
find all of them
there.
there.
Shout
Really?
out
Okay.
Victor, Summer in the City. The Summer in the City song is a great song featuring my brother Kid Rated R, Rebecca Nobel. And it's about, you know, three brothers from the neighborhood going to the beach, which are my sons. They're the stars of that music video. People,
Oh, sorry.
I think what people don't realize is like
Oh,
all
I
this
see.
costs money. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? From
Mhm.
production, beats, to studio time, to mixing, to mastering, uh, to the merchandise, to like videographer, like that costs money. And I've been super grateful for like the folks that are building with me. Like once again, peace to the homie Victor, you know what I'm saying? Because he could be like, I need X amount, but he's working with me as well right now because he vibes with the vision. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm grateful for those people that vibe with the vision.
Yeah, like that part of having a community, we talk a lot about that, right? Of like, how do we create community? How are we there for our people with reciprocity? Like that part of having that support system is super important. So I'm glad that you have those people in your life to make this your dream a reality. That is so so dope.
Oh,
Mhm.
absolutely.
To give them a listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Good. Anything else you guys want to share? I'm good.
I think if you could give a piece of advice to somebody that is listening to this episode and maybe for the first time they're hearing about mental health, what would you tell them to start on their journey?
Take a deep breath.
Mm.
Just take a deep breath. Something that I do every morning is I don't rush out of bed. I just take a deep breath, and before my feet touch the ground, I say, "I am grateful. I
Mm.
am grateful. I am grateful." 3 times. I think it all begins with honesty, and that's difficult. That's challenging, to be honest. That
Mhm.
it's not always external factors of what someone did to us. Sometimes it's what do we do to ourselves. And
Mhm.
for me, I had to understand through reading, like books, inner engineering by Sadhguru, that that responsibility is inward. No other direction but inward. I'm responsible for me. Nobody else is responsible for me,
Yeah.
right? In spite of the external factors. And I have a choice to make. Do I want to be better? Yes or no? I have a sunset policy where I'll let anything bug me for a whole day. I'll be upset. I'll be irate about it. I'll be like boring my wife to death, like about the same shit. But as soon as I go to sleep and then the next sun comes up, that's old shit. Not worried about that no more. I gotta move para adelante.
Mm. Mm.
And the
I
other
like
thing
that.
I would say is start a journal.
Mm.
Don't worry about it being a certain way, a certain length. Just even if it begins with scribbling how you feel today, what the
Mhm.
goal was, did you accomplish that goal? Um, for me, I only have one question every night. Are my ancestors proud of me?
Mm.
That's all I care about. People could be like, why only that one? Because think about it. Let's say it out loud. Are my ancestors proud of me includes, am I being a good husband? Am I being a good father? Am I being a good man? Am I being a good brother, a good son? You know what I'm saying? And there's a distinction between being a good husband and a good man, and I didn't know that,
Mhm.
because I grew up with patriarchy,
Mhm.
and I am not perfect, and I'm learning how to evolve. And once again, I wouldn't be on this trajectory if it wasn't for the unconditional love of my wife Jackie. You know what I'm saying? That allows me to continue this path in this way. And so, um, if the answer is yes, I get to go to sleep like a baby, like my kids. If the answer is no, it keeps me up at night. It stresses me.
Mm.
And in order to help that stress come down, I do the following. I visualize that moment, I close my eyes, and I say to myself, how could I have done this better? And then I replay that moment and do better in my mind in order to reprogram my brain to do better next time.
Mm.
Those are a few tips that I have for folk.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share space with us to have this plática. So 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 appreciated, and thank you for waiting on me today.
It's all good. It's all good. I mean, final thoughts for me is fuck fear. You know what I'm saying? Let your wings evolve. once we face our fears, even if it don't go out the way we think it's gonna go, guess what? Maybe next time it will.
Mhm.
We can't get to that next time unless we live in the right now, in the present, and that's the ultimate gift. Right now, today, this very second, to live in the present. That helps me with anxiety. I hope that helps you with anxiety. Practice affirmations before you go to sleep to begin to program your mind. You don't even have to believe it this night. But I feel that if you continue doing it for a certain amount of time, you will begin to believe it because that's our natural frequency is love and light. And there's no higher frequency than love. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? And so let your wings evolve and listen to Evolving Wings.
Yeah. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. So yes, if you have any feedback, any questions, you want to be a guest, you can send us an email, mindfulpodcastliving@gmail.com. That's our email there, mindfulpodcastliving@gmail.com. And remember, you got to let go in order to grow. See you
Ayy.
later. Peace.
That's a bar. Peace.